Hello, my name is Michael Mervosh. I'm the Executive Director of the Hero's Journey Foundation. Many of us over the past month or longer have been sheltering in place, and we're arriving at a threshold now where we're about to navigate into the unknown with going forward once again with our lives in ways that we don't yet know how to do and we don't want to avoid. So we're creating an offering for the month of May that will be a hero's journey, where we'll be sheltering in place, of course, still, but learning how to think about and act in ways that will start to move ourselves back towards the world again. And I'd like to begin to talk about this with a poem by William Stafford called The Way It Is. The Way It Is, he says, there's a thread you follow. There's a thread you follow, and it goes among the things that change. But it doesn't change. And people will wonder what you're pursuing by pursuing this thread. And you try to explain about the thread, but it's hard for anyone else but you to see. And when you hold this thread, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen. People get sick or die, and we all suffer, and we age. And nothing we can do stops time's unfolding. Nothing we can do to stop the pandemic's unfolding. But we don't ever let go of this thread. And this thread is the myth of the hero's journey, something that holds vitality and aliveness and possibility of renewal in ways that speaks to each one of us individually and also collectively. So this web journey that we're creating, that will meet online and have our resources online, but take us into the world around us wherever we are in this world, is a way of both sheltering in place, but journeying together. And what we want to do is feel like that we have tools and that we're being provided with tools relevant to our current circumstance that help us to better cope with the outside circumstances at our life that feel so uncertain and threatening, and tools to help us cope with the inner turmoil we feel, the fear, the confusion, the anger, frustration, the hope that we want to sustain. This ability to navigate our inner weather. We want better coping tools for that. And we also want tools to help us to go forward, literally, in ways to assess information that we're given from the outside world, to be deeply in touch with our own intuitive inner world and our sensing and guidance that comes through that vehicle. We want to balance both of these. So what we're going to do is to create this process over the month of May through videos, through audios, through online gatherings, through text messages, so that we all can do what we can from where we are with what we have. Doing what we can from where we are with what we have, and not dwelling on the things that we can't yet know, can't yet do, don't yet have. So what we have found is it's so much easier to get there by not going by ourselves. We go for ourselves, but we don't go by ourselves. So our Hero's Journey community serves as a kind of a well, like a gathering place and space, where we'll create, again, tools for us that will be like on our online backpacks that we can carry around to help us normalize what we can, help us build tolerance for the unknown, help us to accept our very real limitations and our sense of overwhelm, help us to change our lens of perception that allow us time and again to feel like we're in active participation with a living world and not simply suspended in space, in some predeterminable time that we don't know what to do, where to go, and we simply circle the same information, the same inner space. So we'll participate with a sense of shared solidarity, shared participation, shared vulnerabilities with each other. We'll discern better what feels worthwhile and most worthwhile now, and rest into those places. And time and again, we will notice in our day-to-day lives this month, every time we enter what Joseph Campbell called the forest adventurous. The forest adventurous, which is the deep, the dark, the unknown, where each person entered the forest where there was no path before them and there was no apparent way through. That is the journey. And when we're riding this edge and we're alive and we're not just simply surviving, we feel the real sense of risk where there's the potential for illumination, a potential for a new way that we haven't seen before, and very real potential for devastation, the disaster, the sense of failing, falling into our anxieties and depressions again. You know, we're humans, so there's no guarantee on what our outcome will be or what we'll be subjected to. But in all my years, and it's been almost 30 years now of pursuing this path of the hero's journey, I have learned one thing, and I've learned it in ways that I wouldn't have ever wished for. And that's that sometimes it's only through the ordeal or the perception that we have of being in an ordeal, an adventure gone wrong, that a boon appears, where the door is closed to a way that we've been so accustomed to, so familiar with, and there's no longer a way through. Only then do we turn and consider a new possibility. So many of us are experiencing that right now in very real ways. We're suffering losses, watching our future dissolve in an instant. Looking at solid ground in our future no longer be there, and we're disoriented. And we'll learn by not being in this by ourselves and staying attuned with other people and staying connected to the whole of our community, that this is something we all must bear. It's not personal. And we do have to unravel and undo something rather old in us so that something new can begin to make its way through. Does that make sense? Well, it does to me. It's just not what I wish for. So I'll finish up with a passage by Rilke, who says, again and again, you know, when we're on this hero's journey, right, again and again, and for many of us, this is as real as any risk that we have experienced. Again and again, through the ordeals and on the journey, some people start to wake up. We start to awaken. And we have no ground, no place in the common crowds, doing the usual things, mainstream activities, watching another Netflix episode, that's fine, but that's not it. That is not the journey, right? There's no real grounding place in the common things that we've been anchored in. And Rilke says, no, what happens when we wake up is we emerge according to a larger calling. We emerge into a larger sense of participation. And it's always with mystery, the unknown. And we carry what he calls the strange customs. We have rituals and ways that will not make sense to other people. They won't see the thread that we're following. And it demands room, Rilke says, for bold gestures, a sense of daring, a willingness to think in new ways, a willingness to act in new ways, a willingness to call things into question that simply aren't there, that don't work anymore. And finally, Rilke says, the future speaks ruthlessly through these human beings. The future begins to speak ruthlessly, unfold itself ruthlessly through us human beings when we're ready to go where we haven't gone before. So think about it. Think about joining us. Participate in this May journey that we're going to do together. Don't let finances be the thing that stops you. Just say yes. Say yes if you know that somehow the quality of your life depends on it. Because having a way to move into the future from here, with it being so uncertain and the sense of risks being so real, the quality of our life does depend on it.